Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus, where today we are talking about a unfortunately recently cancelled thing, but when I made this video it wasn't, so shut up. But today we are talking about Armour Wars, the still sort of up in the air project. Armour Wars was originally announced as one of the MCU's next major Disney Plus series before being redeveloped into a feature film. But years later, the project still hasn't entered production, with many fans are beginning to wonder whether it should even happen at all. Now, with the MCU undergoing major changes, Iron Man gone, and new heroes taking center stage, what should Marvel Studios actually do about Armour Wars? So yes, what we are talking today about is what the MCU should do about Armour Wars. Should they continue it, or should they do a readaptation after Secret Wars, or not? So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, Armour Wars was supposed to be quite a famous story and film that we were going to get, because it is a famous storyline in the comics. After discovering that his technology, Iron Man that is, has fallen into the wrong hands, Tony Stark launches a mission to reclaim or destroy every piece of armor based on his design. Now, people are thinking they probably didn't do Armour Wars mainly because it was basically Iron Man 3. Yes, you could make that argument, but I definitely think that they still could do more with this. The MCU adaptation was expected to explore a similar idea following Tony's death, with James Rhodes stepping into the spotlight as War Machine, while dealing with Stark technology being misused across the world. Now, you could have integrated that into Secret Wars, which would probably have been better, because we know James Rhodes was actually a Skrull the whole time, but they didn't do that, obviously. Now, Secret Invasion could have done a fair bit, and so could have fought Armour Wars, but it just didn't, and I think that's where the biggest shame comes in. Is Secret Invasion was so bad that no one really cared about Armour Wars, and the whole idea about James Rhodes being a Skrull the whole time just retconned this whole thing. The MCU has also very much changed in the last couple years, which makes Armour Wars very obsolete. I think this would be better for after Doomsday, because you obviously have the armor from Latveria and stuff. You could integrate that into it a bit. Now, when Armour Wars was first revealed, the MCU looked very different. Since Marvel has introduced dozens of new heroes, shifted its focus towards the multiverse saga, and cancelled or delayed several projects. Now, characters like Ironheart, Riri Williams, and even Damage Control have already explored themes involving advanced technology, making some fans question whether Armour Wars is still a unique role within the franchise. Now, if you want to carry on that James Rhodes thing, go for it. I think that is one thing we are lacking, and I'm glad he's not in Doomsday, or we would be like, where the f*** has he been for so many years? However, I think Rhodey does need a bit more, regardless if he's in Doomsday or Secret Wars or not. I think he should be a new Iron Man type, if you get what I mean. I think James Rhodey has been really let down, and you could go with the Doomsday story that a Doctor Doom story that he does, unless he's killed in Secret Wars, with James Rhodes, when his power is taken away and he's just a technological tyrant. Now, one of the biggest opportunities for Armour Wars is giving James Rhodes the spotlight that he's deserved for many a years. Despite appearing throughout the MCU since Iron Man 2, Rhodey has barely been the central focus of any story, that is. Now, a standalone film could explore how Tony Stark's death affected him personally, and the responsibility of protecting Stark's legacy, and what kind of hero he actually wants to become without Iron Man standing beside him. Now, people think James Rhodes doesn't really matter because Iron Man is dead and all his suits are basically towards Iron Man, and Damage Control have basically taken them after his death and funeral. Not true. Because if that was the case, Spider-Man technically, yes. However, I think James Rhodes, as I said, I'm going to say there's a lot in this video, needs more. He needs more depth. And I said this story could be that idea. The story needs more than just Iron Man technology. Simply showing stolen armor would not be enough to justify a featured film, because that would be the most blunt and saddening story ever. But the story needs meaningful emotional stakes alongside its action, rather than focusing solely on advanced weapons. Now, Armour Wars could examine how Tony Stark's inventions could shape the world after his death. Now, I kind of think that's what they're going to try and do with Doomsday in some formation, but it could ask whether powerful technology should ever belong to one person or company, and explore how different governments, organizations, and criminals attempt to exploit that power. People are saying bring Justin Hammer back. People are saying bring the Mandarin into this. Don't know how the Mandarin would work. I think you're talking about Trevor Slattery, which I'll keep that to Wonder Man. Oh wait, no, it's been cancelled. But I do think you could add in, say, was it Crimson Dynamo into this? You could add Whiplash in his actual suit. You could bring him back, because I'm pretty sure he didn't die. You could have Whiplash in a comic accurate suit. And I think that's what people wanted from Armour Wars. All the people that we didn't see from the Iron Man films, have them in this Armour Wars. You could do it for a show. I think a show would probably be more beneficial instead of a feature film that takes up maybe not a lot of room in cinemas. But I definitely think a series for Armour Wars wouldn't be too bad. Now, another question is, because we have got Ironheart, we released last year, and now we've got some demon stuff, Mephisto setting up Midnight Suns perfectly. However, we are wondering if Vision Quest will have anything to do with it. Because, if anyone's seen, the official trailer for Vision Quest is officially dropped, and Vision Quest is supposed to be the final thing in the WandaVision thing. Now, it has a lot of links to Iron Man. You could bring in, obviously, I think that's probably to set up the Young Avengers, as I said, in the trailer reaction video. You could have other characters as well, because in Ironheart, we got the son of Obadiah Stane, who is basically like this versions of Electro. And I think you could add characters in like that are actual antagonists with powers that fight against a machine, like machine versus power. That is a good contrast, and I think you could add in Vision into this as well, because he's getting a new suit in Vision Quest, and this will really be the solidifying of White Vision and normal Vision into one entity, that the Vision we've been wanting for over a decade. And Ultron might have some sort of good conscience and become a hero. And bearing in mind, what if it's also a part of the MCU? Don't get that mistaken. Infinity Ultron could be a villain, so having this version of Ultron be a hero wouldn't be so far-fetched. I think it would be a great idea. I think Marvel has an opportunity to connect Armour Wars with several upcoming stories. Riri Williams represents like the next generation of armor technology, while Vision's return could continue exploring the legacy of Stark's greatest creations, like Ultron, like Vision. Now, rather than existing as an isolated adventure, Armour Wars could serve as a bridge between Iron Man era and the future technology within the MCU, giving those projects a very big sense of connection. There is a lot of potential with Armour Wars and how it could link and how it could help. But based on the shows we're getting, we don't know if we're getting an Ironheart Season 2. It would make sense if we did, but not many people wanted it. But a Vision Quest, I definitely think, would be a great setup for Armour Wars. Now, could Armour Wars introduce a new villain? Absolutely. A successful Armour Wars film or series also needs a memorable antagonist. Instead of relying entirely on generic soldiers wearing stolen armor, here's an idea: Hydra Stomper. That would be a good one. Marvel could also introduce a villain capable of challenging Rhodey both physically and morally. Now, whether adapting the classic comic characters like Ezekiel Stane or creating a new interpretation entirely, the antagonist should represent the consequences of Stark technology spreading beyond his control. That, I think, would be a very good story. Now, to end this all out, should Marvel still make Armour Wars? I think so. I think the biggest question is whether Armour Wars still deserves a place in the Marvel's current roadmap, because it's a hefty roadmap. If the film simply revisits ideas already explored in previous projects, it risks feeling unnecessary. However, it focuses on Rhodey's personal journey, the legacy of Iron Man, and the global impact of advanced technology it could become once the MCU's most grounded and emotional driven stories in years. Armour Wars has the potential to become much more than another superhero film or a series. It could finally give War Machine the leading role he's earned while exploring what happens when the world's most dangerous technology outlives the man who created it. Whether Marvel chooses to move forward or not, one thing is clear: the project needs to justify its place in the MCU's future, rather than simply just reminding audiences of its past. Because if Armour Wars is going to happen, it needs to be more than Iron Man without Tony Stark. That is my biggest point to make. But yes, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll comment what else you would like to see on the channel. But I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Yeah.